Peace, grand rising, good morning, and welcome. This is day 8 of a 60-day journey of healing, transformation, and self-discovery. This is a glorious Sunday morning, or it should be a glorious Sunday morning for you. Now, some people get anxiety on Sunday because it's the start of the week, and when Monday gets here, you got to go deal with that drama at the job, or you have to deal with certain aspects. But it really starts on Sunday for you, preparing yourself mentally, putting yourself in the right mental state. And so we've completed week 1, and this is the beginning of week 2 of a long journey. And so I thank those who tuned in to the membership yesterday, for that experience. And as I always tell you, if you want to become a member, you can head to urbanx.nyc and sign up. It's $20, and you can cancel at any time. And so as we move forward to day 8, I would like to start by saying today's subject is substance abuse and coping. Okay? This is going to be a tough one. We've already covered abandonment. We've covered sibling rivalries. We've covered fear. We've covered anxiety. We've covered a lot. And now we're moving deeper and deeper. We've covered unspoken wounds that we didn't want to deal with and talk about. And now substance abuse, because every family or most families are dealing with some form of substance abuse. And as a child, you don't know how to process substance abuse in most cases because you don't know the residual effects of it. You don't know that's why daddy is always angry. Or you don't know that's why mommy is always yelling at you because she may have not gotten her fix. Or, things of that nature. Or when daddy drinks, he gets violent and he attacks mommy. And these things sort of become the norm for you, but they are not normal. It's a part of that trauma that shapes our reality as children. As we get older and we ourselves may embark on substance abuse, we get a greater understanding as we look back and go, wow, so it's not that easy to come off of heroin, which is addictive. It's not that easy to come off of cocaine, which is addictive. It's not that easy to just leave the beer alone when it's addictive, right? And these addictions, as the second part of this, is coping. So why do we use substance abuse? It's usually a coping mechanism for something that we're going through, right? Now, it may start off recreational. You're young, you're out in the streets. That's how it got my mother. In 1970, when the Vietnam War was sort of over and all of that poppy seeds and all that opium was coming into the inner streets, it was a cool thing to, sniff a little heroin and this and that. But the residual effects of that was addiction. And addiction that affects the physical body. When my mother didn't get her fix, she was violent. She had anxiety. I hated needles. I hated heroin, but my only objective was to make sure my mother got it because she physically needed it. I need you to understand that as you look at your uncle, your aunt, your mother, or your father who are going through substance abuse, and it's easy when you're on the outside looking in, saying, why don't they just stop? I wish it was that easy. It is never that easy. What we use to numb the pain often becomes the pain. That is profound. What we use to numb the pain becomes the pain because it becomes that crutch, that hindrance that really stops us from being the greatest that we can be. I told you a few days ago, I resented my mother because she was brilliant. She had the highest IQ in my family, but this heroin that she was dealing with was shutting that ability down. So I secretly resented her because she could have been more. And if she could have been more, I could have been more. You see how that guilt works? Have you or someone close to you used substances to cope? What did it give and take away? What were the givings, which are really rare, but I'm pretty sure it took away time from you. It took away money from your household. It took away from attention you probably could have got. It took away from the person that you love because they become somebody else once the drugs kick in. And so as a child, when you come to school, I'd often tell, and in my second book, Understanding the Youth Through the Lens of Urban Culture, I speak about, from a teacher's perspective, when a child comes to class, you have to ask yourself, why are you here? Because these children are not here just to learn. They're here sometime for 7 and 8 hours of solace to get away from the abuse, the drug abuse that's going on in their home that could lead to domestic violence. It can lead to sexual violence. It can lead to so much. So these children need a safe space. So you as a teacher have to begin to recognize certain things. All right, here's the hero's note. I choose healing over numbing. My pain deserves care, not escape. Now, see, in this deep dive, you can't just keep glossing over these things. You have to deal with the healing. You know what I mean? Not the escape. Escape is the easy part. Let me just go get high. You know what I mean? And I'll deal with it again. The healing, that requires a deep dive into understanding something has to change. I want more for me and my daughter. In the UX90, one of my favorite members was a brother named Don Paradise. And he had tears in his eyes the first day that we met online. And he spoke about, I'm doing this. He had an alcohol addiction. And he said, I'm doing this for my daughter. So he was already laying out the foundation for his future. He wasn't going to try to numb it. He was going to heal because he didn't want his daughter perhaps to experience what he had experienced as a child. That's when the healing and the real healing of this, comes in. Choosing to face pain instead of escaping it is courage. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about honesty and gentle replacement. Pain met with care, no avoidance. All right? Pain met with care, not avoidance. That's not how we get this done. All right? We all learned to cope somehow. When the pain was too much, when no one taught us how to feel, we found a way to survive. Sure, we survived, but we're scarred from it. You know? We're deeply scarred from it, and some of those scars force us to carry on what we really despise the most. At one point, I was high, looking at my mother high, and I was no better than she was. You understand? I was no better than she was. All right? So that's a very important aspect of this. For some, it was substances. For others, it was perfectionism, work, control, or people-pleasing. These were the tools we used to avoid the ache, the ways we whispered, I can't handle this right now. All right? And so we want to allow grace at the same time because these people are going through something. And I can't help you if I don't help myself. But at some point, that's a self-realization thing. I can't get you off of heroin or cocaine or methamphetamines or marijuana, or you are gonna have to be the one that look in the mirror, take the deep dive on your hero's journey and defeat that villain, because that's just another villain. I keep telling you, stop thinking of villains as opposed to your ops as somebody of person or human. That villain could be anything that you are trying to cope with. All right? So keep that in mind. But numbing has a cost. It doesn't just dull the pain, it dulls the joy too, right? How do you feel after that high reaches a low point and it's over and the emptiness kicks back in and all the nasty things you said to somebody when you was high and you're coming down off of that high? It's a total different experience because nothing got resolved. Nothing at all. So I want you to keep this in mind when we deal and we talk about numbing. Today, we don't shame those coping mechanisms. We thank them because they kept us alive when we didn't have better tools. And now we begin to choose differently. Ask yourself, what did my numbing give me? What did it take from me? Okay? These are the things that we're going to deal with. We're going to hit this thing head on, all right? Because it's not just you that are affected by the drugs and the coping. It's everybody around you are affected in some way, shape, form, or fashion, all right? And as always, as we write in our journals these important things, we always say to ourselves, too, what are we thankful for, right? Because we have to be thankful for something, right? Healing isn't about removing the pain. It's about learning to hold it with tenderness, right? So that means whatever you're going through, give yourself grace. That's really what it means. But grace doesn't mean give yourself an excuse. It just means you have to deal with this situation delicately, especially if it's one of your loved ones, your partner or something, and no, you're not yelling at them. You're not accusing them of that they need to get it together. I think they know they need to get it together. So dealing with it with tenderness is saying, I see you. I recognize you. I'm here to help you, but you got to be able to want to help yourself. Write today as an act of honesty and compassion, not judgment. Understanding because your coping was a survival tool and now you're ready for a healing one, okay? You're ready to heal. The time is now, all right? So dig down deep, be totally honest with yourself, you know what I mean, of what it is that you need to do and how these changes will affect everybody around you. And remember, I love you. Live, learn, laugh, and love, right? I love you. I hope you love yourself. And I can't wait for tomorrow to come so we can continue this journey of, healing, self-discovery, and transformation. Peace.